Well, still talking about the issue of cholera in Africa. Joining us on the program is Dr. Adeye Aribabuo, Community Health Coordinator. He's Deputy National President, Healthcare Providers Association of Nigeria. Welcome to Network Africa. All right, so we've spoken about this before, in fact, last week with regards to the DRC on this issue. But one question keeps coming to my mind, and that is why indeed do loads of people, especially in the continent of Africa, keep dying from preventable diseases, cholera being one of them?
Yes, thank you. The African continent as a whole is ravaged on a regional basis of conflicts, wars, and you see, at times boundary disagreements, droughts, which is either lack of water supply, and all of such that make people vulnerable to this disease, including issues of internally displaced people. All of these, including refugee camping, are vulnerable factors that's making this to look as if it's not stoppable in Africa. So once these predisposing factors and issues are addressed appropriately, the tendency is that the scourge of cholera would reduce, even if it's not eliminated.
As much as we're going to talk about some of the symptoms and how to actually treat it or curb the spread, what do you think governments are doing with aid agencies to reduce the spread?
Yes, I think advocacy, education, and some voluntary organizations could be in the form of non-governmental organizations should be encouraged to bring to fore what we call enlightenment program, to let people know, educate people. I mean, we need to make all of the noise this time around for them to know what cholera is all about. How do we get in contact with it? And how can we prevent it? And what do we even do if we have it? And this will involve radio jingles, handbills, mouth-to-mouth education, school programs, and use even the community development associations, including the CDC of the various local government areas, to create awareness, including market women organizations. And you see, UNICEF has been doing quite a lot of things in this direction, but the federal government, as it were in Nigeria also, yeah, we've been making some efforts, but our public health enlightenment program should be improved on.
We'll come to Nigeria in a bit, but about cholera and its history. I read that it was something that was moved from place to place, and we didn't know that it was waterborne. We thought it was bad air until John Snow in 1854, thereabout. So now that we know what it is, how much sensitization? I mean, you talked about these methods, but why are we still getting it wrong, especially in these parts?
Yeah, we should not forget that cholera had not only been epidemic, it had even been pandemic, in which case countries and continents all over the world were affected one time or the other. And in fact, we had the issue of the first pandemic, the second, the third, the fourth, the fifth, and the sixth, all in that order, dated to 18th century, some to 19th century, as it were. And you also recall that even in those old days, malaria was thought to be due to mal air. So some of these that might ordinarily look like taboo were happening then because of lack of yet to be discovered scientific information. Now that we know, now that we are conscious and we are aware, all we will need to do is to intensify border-to-border relationship management. And we have to also look at migration, that's immigration and immigration, manage these issues very well. And also encourage our quarantine system, for example. And then agricultural products, like leaves, yeah, meat or fish, foods, either iced or non-iced, that are moving inter and intra-border, should be well observed, especially when being moved from one part of the country or from one part of the world to another, with a view to detecting contaminated food items, water, and all of that, and then do as much as possible, contain them on time before they begin to spread. This means that we actually need international collaboration among continents and even countries.
Coming to Nigeria and the spread, have our healthcare systems done enough? Do you think they can adequately manage the spread?
Yes, it isn't peculiar. This inadequacy of the healthcare system is not peculiar to Nigeria. And we should also know that our resources are quite limited everywhere, not only in Nigeria. And in fact, we have had countries, even in the Americas, we have had India, we have had even Germany, we have had the best of countries in the world that have suffered cholera one time or the other. It's all about people's movement, for example. If people begin to carry items across border, they begin to carry potentially contaminated food items, for example, across borders, it is easy to begin to think that after all, this disease might not be totally peculiar to people who have issues of poverty, ignorance, and disease alone. So it's about education, it's about advocacy, and it's about also re-examining our health system. The primary health is actually the key. But the primary care level, all of this sanitation, all of these water provision, portable water, all of these common medicines made available for the common man to see and to have availability and affordability. Even with health insurance, as we're talking about too, people will feel free to patronize.
All right,
and then the risk will be reduced.
Thank you so much for talking to us. We've been speaking with Dr. Adeye Arigbabuwo, who is also a family health specialist. Thank you for coming on the program.
My pleasure.
Well, scientists in the United States say they have engineered an antibody that could offer a new way to treat or prevent the human immunodeficiency virus, otherwise known as HIV, following successful tests on monkeys. Well, unlike the naturally occurring antibodies, it is built to attack 3 critical parts of the virus, making it harder for the virus to resist its effects. The research by the U.S. National Institutes of Health and the pharmaceutical company Sanofi suggests that the antibody attacks almost all of the HIV strains and can prevent infection. The International AIDS Society says it is an exciting breakthrough, as human trials will start next year. Still to come on the program, our Africa Tech segment takes a look at driving the real estate management with technology. To join us again.